You're listening to Let's Talk About Fatherlessness with host Sean Teis, where we talk about leading fatherless families to the Heavenly Father.
Hey, my name's Sean Teis. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Fatherlessness. I'm excited to have our guests today, James and Becca Bruhn. You guys are from Zionsville, Indiana, Runn Baptist Church. I'm excited to have you guys because I've known James and Becca for a long time, and we're not going to get into all of our history, even though we have some funny history. But we went to Trinity Baptist College together. We have a lot of history from that. Just have known them for a long time. Thankful for their friendship. Excited to have them on today because they started a ministry at their church, and I'm going to let them share all about it. They started a ministry at their church for single moms, and it's been going really well. And we wanted to have them on to share the progress of that, the setup of that. James is the pastor of that, and to talk about that more. So would you guys take a few minutes to tell about yourselves, tell about your church? Just let us know who you are.
Yeah, well, I'm James Bruhn, and I've been the pastor here for about 3 years. I was a youth pastor 10 years before that at the same church. And so I grew up in Florida. And so being up in the north, it's a little bit colder up here, still getting used to it. And so we met through college. And so we've really been loving ministry up here at the church. And, Sean approached us. It was years ago, right? About doing this. And it was a little nerve wracking because we just didn't know how it would go. You don't really see the need and you don't really know the need until, you dive in. And so it's been really profitable and it's been an exciting adventure for us. Becca's been kind of leading the thing on Wednesday nights. But it's been really awesome.
I'm his wife. And honestly, God's been working in my heart probably like a few years before, just with discipleship. And a lot of the ladies he brought to me have been single moms. So it was kind of a work in progress. And one-on-one, I would meet with them for several years. And so I built those relationships. And some of them went to our church and some of them did not. And so then when you came, you and your wife and your family came and we took you guys on as missionaries, it was just like God was working in my heart through all of that. I actually went to James and I was like, I feel like we need to do something. And he's like, well, why are you going to try to do it? We actually have Sean Teis. He actually does this. So it was cool to see how God worked through each step, kind of in my life, just brought people my way, built relationships, and then we're able to use you and your ministry to get it started.
Yeah,
so.
It was perfect timing because we were coming out of youth ministry. She was looking for something really to dive into. She was very faithful and active in the youth ministry. And so it came at a perfect time. I mean, God knows it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came to your church last year. I think it was in April or something like that. And we had just launched our single mom support group in Las Vegas. And we were, working through that. We were trying to figure out what does that all mean? We had never run anything like that before. Honestly, we've been doing fatherless ministry for, at that point, about 14 years. And we'd never run a support group. We had worked with single moms when I was a youth pastor and through our ministry, but it was a new thing for us. And so we ran this one in Las Vegas. It went really well. We connected with probably about 30 single moms in Las Vegas, and it was going good. And then we came to your church to share about our ministry. We were traveling a little bit for our ministry. And during that time, then we just felt like, man, we really need to take this stuff we're doing in Vegas and take it across the country and record these videos and take the single mom journey book and turn it into a video curriculum. But then we were looking for churches to, hey, let's try this out. And you guys were one of our guinea pigs, and I was hoping you'd start one. And we've had about seven or eight churches use the curriculum, and it's been really cool. But this is all new to us, and it's such a need for that, right? So what made you let's start with you, James, as a pastor. What made you decide? Because I know a lot of pastors tell me, hey, I have single moms in our community, I have them in our church, but what made you decide, hey, I'm going to actually do something, specifically for these families?
Well, the need was there, and we saw it. It was very apparent that God brought these ladies to our church for a reason, and so the need was there, and it was an obvious thing, and like we talked about before, the way God was working in our lives, and especially my wife's life, she saw that it was a need, and, we need to do something about it. And like I said, it was God's timing. It was perfect.
Yeah. And then Becca, you're running it. I mean, as a pastor's wife, you have a lot of things going on already as a pastor's wife, and you're basically helping manage James and helping. I'm just kidding, but you're helping. Honestly, though, my wife's a ministry wife. They help keep us together. But what made you decide? Hey, this is really. I know you were touched on a little bit on this, but what made you decide? Hey, I want to be involved in this. I want to help these moms out.
I think for me, because I've been in ministry for so long, for me, it has to be more than just going to church, doing like the routine stuff. God really, I've read several books and just really been working on my heart. Like it has to be more than just, I don't know, just kind of the standard, typical like pastor's wife and pastor. I really like being in people's lives and kind of being in the trenches, I guess. A lot of Christians, we say we want outreach and we do this, but they don't like actually get to know people and meet them where they're at. And it gets messy sometimes. It's hard, but like I said, it's kind of what God has put on my heart and my life is just to be in people's lives, to meet them where they're at, because that's what I believe Jesus does. Over and over in the Bible, he meets them where they're at. He goes to them, sits with them, listens to them, and is just in their mess kind of with them. And so that's kind of what made this passion come about. And that's how I kind of run the group, is just letting them know I'm there, because it's a mindset change, because a lot of them have rough situations. So it's not like their situations may not change right away or in a long time, but it's getting them to feel the need to get to know God more, because God is the only one that's going to give them peace. So anyway, but yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's so good. And I appreciate you guys' willingness to be involved in this ministry. Now let's dissect your launch and everything a little bit, because I really want churches that are on the fence or looking at me doing this to really see how it went for you, how it went for your church as a pastor, as a ministry leader with you, Becca. How did it go? So you had the need, you saw you wanted to do it. Where did you go from there? Like how did you get it launched? Where did you start? Let's start with the launching process.
So for the technical, we'll go with him, what he did, I guess.
Well, I worked with Sean and we kind of figured out some things through Facebook, putting together the group and the schedule, and then really trying to get it out there with a Facebook ad. Sean helped me with putting, specific words and things for, to get out into the community and things like that. So that's kind of how we started initially, was just really getting the word out. I'd say a month or two before we even, started the actual class. Yeah. And then once it started, Becca took over.
And again, mine's a little bit different because I truly believe this group will work more of a relationship thing. And so I was fortunate to have some pretty deep relationships with a lot of these women before we even started the group, just with how God brought them into my life and worked in that area. So they came like right away, which I know some churches that will not be the case, but you still just don't quit, because there's a need in every city. Like it's desperately a need. And so once the relationships are built, they will keep coming because they crave that relationship. So it's really neat to watch the relationships form with the individuals in the class as well. It's not just they have a relationship with me now, but they have a relationship with each person in the group. So it's very neat.
Yeah, whereas coming to only Becca before, like, hey, I need somebody to watch my kid or things like that. Now they're reaching out to each other, which has been really cool. They're really sharing and bonding and bearing each other's burdens, which has been really neat, and inviting other people and like even encouraging each other to go. Like some of them will be so down that they don't want to go, and someone will say, hey, you really need to. And we've even heard some of the women say, I need this Wednesday night. I need to be there. Like this is something I need. So It's been really neat.
Yeah. Like even today we have like a text group thread, and it's just, I told him it's really encouraging to me because like I was the only person, I feel like, in our church reaching out to some of these women. And so, but now they have like a whole text thread. And even today, they put some prayer requests on that they were struggling. And so it's not just me coming back, encouraging them. It's like, 11 other ladies, like giving God's word and just encouragement to make it through the day, so it's really, really neat.
That's great. And I remember James texted me some pictures of your launch. I mean, you went and you put some effort into it. I mean, you took, because like we have books you can print off. We have our devotionals that go along with the videos, or even if you want to teach through it, however you want to run the group. But you printed those off. I saw the books, and you tell about that, how you set the room up.
Yes, nice. So sorry, I forgot about that. But so we used, just our resources we have at our church, and since you had it in PDF form, I printed them all off, and then got 3-ring binders so that way they can take it home and write in each one. And then I put like a candy bar and gum. This is on the first night, and any new visitors we get, we'll get it too. And then I just put a little card with it that just said, "Glad you're here," and wrote in it and put my cell number in it. And then every week we do snacks and stuff, because everyone loves snacks, for typical Baptists. But yeah, so we have snacks, and we just make it really relaxed. And there's, we provide for a place for the kids that's free, just to make it really easy for them to come so they can eat. Even some of the kids come up and eat if they don't want to, do supper. It's not really a full meal, because that would get, costly, but we do have where they could fill up on it if they wanted to. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it looks. They bring their binders every week, and I have one lady that leaves their binder there because they know they'll forget it. So, but yeah, so we go through it, and they write in them, and yeah.
I like how you had the tables set up, and you similar to how we do it in Vegas, where you have the tables set up where. I think initially when they set our classroom up at the one in Vegas, they had a classroom setting where it was a podium, and then we kind of just tore it apart and made a circle, and because it needs to be a support group type setting. Think of the Wreck-It Ralph. I know it's kind of a poor illustration. Wreck-It Ralph, where they're sitting in the circle and he's in the support group. That's what it needs to be. And when we have used tables just like you guys do, and I think that helps, because it can be a time where everybody's just sharing around the room and talking and sharing prayer requests, or how you do it with the discussion time. But I think what you did, the way you set it up, so good. And I love how you said about the relationships. I think that's so key. How you already had relationships going. And I think if you have a woman in your church that's invested in these ladies' lives already, it's a great place to start, to be able to get them to run it. And now, if somebody's listening to this and they're a pastor, it doesn't have to be the pastor's wife running it. It doesn't have to be, and I've had some people think it has to be a former single mom. It doesn't have to be a former single mom, just somebody that cares about these ladies. So it could be the pastor's wife. It could be a former single mom. But whoever cares about these ladies, have them be involved in it, have them help with it. Maybe a husband and wife, where the husband helps set the room up and they get things together, and then the woman teaches the class or spends time, facilitating it. Have it set up that way. But I just appreciate your heart, Becca, how you've just owned this. And I think that's the success of your group, how you've really just said, I'm going to care for these ladies. And these ladies need that. And that's why they're so attracted to it, because they need that community. We traveled around the country and spoke on fatherlessness all over the place. And a lot of times women would say to us, I don't feel connected to this church. And it was awkward for us, because we were at the church trying to get the church to, we were talking about fatherlessness. We weren't trying to cause division or anything like that, but they would just say, I don't feel connected, or I don't have anybody that spends time with my kids. And they were just trying to find somebody to talk to about that. So I appreciate it when I come across individuals like you, where you guys are just, hey, let's do something. Let's be involved in their life. Now, going forward with this, you launched it. How many ladies did you have the first night?
So the first night, I think we had 8. I think maybe 7 or 8, okay. And we're up to 11 right now. So yeah, we're trying to get more, but right now it's been kind of 11 for a while. So
they're a faithful group.
Oh yeah, they're faithful.
Oh yeah. That's a good spot. That's 10's a good number to have. I mean, right. Even 5's a good number. You get a few in there, and so that's good. But I I've been amazed by how you've had them regularly come. Now sometimes do they all show up every week, or do you have times where there's they kind of a wave of it, or?
So it's interesting. For the most part, I was telling him, I mean, they just come. I mean, I don't know if it's just because they've connected so well and they have relationships with each other, because I was expecting there to be, slumps, like where they just wouldn't come, or they miss, and then they keep missing, because that happens sometimes, with even church, like people will miss, and then it's easier to not come the next time. But they come. We've had like a couple miss if they were on vacation or something like that. But for the most part, everyone shows up every single Wednesday night. So and again, it's funny because, like he was saying, they encourage each other to come. So they'll text and they'll be like, I'm really depressed, so I don't know if I'm going to make it. Well, they have like eight other ladies saying, you really need to come. You'll enjoy it when you get there. So they show up.
That text group seems like that's really valuable thing. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
My idea. So that was their idea. So, which was really cool. It happened about like the second meeting, I think. They're like, we should start a text group. And of course I was totally for that. And yeah, it's been going strong ever since. So
here's another thing though, is our church is really behind this. I mean, anytime people start talking about it, they're passionate. We have seen 2 ladies get saved and baptized from this ministry. And so, I mean, you'll have people giving prayer requests or praises, and they'll start getting tore up. I mean, they'll start crying just thinking about this ministry. So this is something that it's not just Becca, it's a church-wide thing that people are behind. Yeah. And that's something that's important too. It's not just, there's that meeting happening or, something like that. It's like, this is our church. This is our passion. We're trying to reach these people. So that's been something that's been very encouraging as well.
Yeah.
And your identity is pure religion. You guys are like James 1:27 says, you guys, the identity of your church, part of that is pure. I love that. What were you going to say, Becca?
I was just going to say, the youth pastor's wife, Amy Smith, is in there with me as well. And that's been very encouraging. And I think encouraging for the other ladies too. So it's not just me, it's like our pastoral staff, or the wives of the pastoral staff, is in there supporting, and she really has a heart too. And she really shows that she cares. And it's just neat for us to be in there together, to support these women. So
that's great. It's such a community that you guys are developing for these ladies. Now, speaking of it, so we've already talked about the launch. We're talking about, how the ladies that have come. How have you, I'm talking about the texting, we've had the community there, but how do you think they're continuing to come? Are they connecting to the church on Sundays too? Are their kids getting connected? Can you speak more about that?
Yes. So we have had probably 3, I think, start coming to our church. One goes to a different church, and she's already plugged in there, and it's a good church. And but then the rest, they come to our church. And the 2 that have gotten saved, they started coming more faithfully, and their kids are getting plugged in. Each lady has different circumstances. Some are in hard circumstances. So it's, again, just being patient and meeting them where they're at and like discipling them. It's not where I want them to be, but it's like where they are right now. And then it's a slow process, but yes, they're getting plugged in, they're excited. But sometimes they miss, and sometimes they have to work. It's just a different group, a lot of them sometimes have to work on Sunday morning. So then they try to come Sunday nights. So it's not just a typical normal, like, hey, you got to be in church like every time the doors are open. It's just growing them where they're at. So
yeah. One of the questions we get a lot is childcare. What do you guys do for that? What childcare do you guys have?
So we have volunteers set up. We have about 3 ladies in our church that rotate. So they, like, one will do it. It's just they're on a rotation, and they have a text thread. And so we have them do the smaller kids, so like the nursery age. And then on Wednesday nights, we also have our normal Bible study that James leads. And so we have a kids program for that too, for like the school age kids. So then the kids that are in nursery will go up to the nursery where the volunteers will watch them. But then we also have a program for the school age kids on Wednesday night.
Okay. The teenagers too, Wednesday nights? You can do teens?
Teenagers go in with James.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's former youth pastor. He can handle that, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's good. And it's good for them to get that church experience, teenagers, for them to have that opportunity. Right. So
yeah, that's
really good. Okay. So just speaking to churches, I think a lot of it is you have to just let them fit into whatever you are offering. Because you don't want to be a drain on your church with this, but you just try to do your best to facilitate them coming into your group, and you just try to help, do your best with it. I mean, that's honestly all you can do. And so I really appreciate how you guys are setting this up. Now, speak to those ladies who've gotten saved. How did that go? They'd never been to church before, or what was the story there? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So one of them that I invited to come to the single moms group, I actually knew her probably like years ago, because I coached her son in soccer for probably 3 years in a row. I coached her son, and I just knew her situation. And she would let me bring the kids to church back then, but she never came. And so again, it was just a relationship building thing. But then fast forward to how many years? And then I invited her to the single moms group, and she came. And we're talking about God, every week. And finally one day, I think, I said something along the lines of, which I say every time, but if you ever have any questions, or like you were talking about God and hearing all this stuff, but you just are like, I just don't have a relationship with God. I don't even know if God's real, because he doesn't feel real in my life. And in my circumstance, please come and talk to me. And so she reached out and talked to me about that, and just said, I never had a relationship with God, and I've never asked Jesus into my heart. And so I would really love to do that. And so we spent a lot of probably like 2 hours talking about it, and she asked Jesus into her heart. And then we have like a discipleship book that I give them like right after they get saved. And so we're kind of going through those books as well, at their own speed, because we're also doing the single moms group. So that was one of the ladies. And then another lady actually was invited to our church by another lady in our church. And she's been coming to our church for about 1.5 years, and just never really asked Jesus into her heart. She thought she did when she was younger, but it was kind of like those one things where she went to a church where they're like, hey, if you ask Jesus into your heart, you get a Subway gift card. And so like she just went through the motion, and it just never really did that. So then she got saved too. So it's really, really neat thing. And with her, she just is so eager to grow, because she'll text me so many times about the book that I gave her, with questions that she doesn't, understand. And so she'll text me and just get clarification on it. Or and so I know she's just really eager to like grow. So but
yeah, definitely Subway salvation, right? Getting them saved. Here's a gift. Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. That's good. Amen. I praise the Lord. Now, going forward, you guys you've been doing this for a little bit now. What's continuing to keep the group going? Are you planning to do it next year too? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the group?
So I've had some people in our church even ask me that aren't part of the group. The plan is to go as long as, if I'm just being honest, as long as they want it. So, and I think the way we're doing your program, I think it will run through your first set of thing that we're going through right now. We'll go through like August, I believe, with how we're doing it. And then after that, if they want to keep going, which I'm pretty sure that they do, we're going to continue to have it. And if it's with you guys, if you guys put out more curriculum, we'll use that. But if not, then we'll find other, just things to do, other Bible studies to go through, and just continue it.
Yeah.
So
it's a great point. That's a great point. We have another curriculum coming out, but
I knew you did. That's why I threw that out there. Yeah.
What were you going to say? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was telling people in our church that I will not be the one to stop it. Like I just won't do that. I never want it to be something where they feel like they have to come, or it's more of like I don't really know the word I'm looking for, but a burden for them to be there. But I don't see that happening with how the group is going. They crave this. It's a safe place where they can genuinely be real and talk and encourage each other, where we can uplift one another. And as of right now, I don't see the group ending anytime soon. So
yeah, that's great. We actually, the first curriculum is the Single Mom Journey, covers the book that we wrote back in 2014. It uses my mom's stories and things like that. We put that on video curriculum. And then also we have another one coming out. It's called How to Parent Well as a Single Mom. And it's based out of a talk. It was kind of an awkward thing for me. I got asked to speak at a single mom conference back in 2019. And the topic they gave me was how to parent well as a single mom. And I'm like, what? I'm not a single mom, but I did it from the perspective of a fatherless child. And just comes from that. And so we've actually been doing that in our group in Las Vegas, and we're working through that. We're about to have that done and recorded. And so it's going to be about a 15 week set of curriculum. And so working through that, and the ladies seem like they've enjoyed that. So just talking about how to parent well, because a lot of times the single moms are like, am I doing a good job? Am I, how do I do a better job as a parent, helping with these kids? So we try to cover the top things you deal with being a single mom. And then the next one we're going to go through is more focused on really working through their kids. We'll give more details about that when coming up, but we're going to be starting another round of curriculum for that. So, we honestly leave it up to the support groups and what they want to do, but we want to provide curriculum at least enough for about 2 years where they can work through for about 2 years, and then maybe go back through the single mom journey or however the group leader wants to do it. But just like you said, having that group, because I think they like to have that group. They like to have that community. And obviously it's good for them to go and serve and do, get involved in the church more. But these moms they're trying to figure things out. They're trying to go at it alone. They're trying to, when we talk about in our ministry, their life is, their kids' life and their lives are off balance. And we're trying to help through this group bring their life back into balance. And so it is important for them to have this group. And then when they're ready to serve and go into the church more and things like that, then they can. But we're trying to figure it out ourselves out here in Las Vegas because we like I said, we just started this thing. We saw these single moms in the church. We're like, we need to just start something for them. We have a book. And so we just jumped into it. And then we're like, hey, other churches, you want to do it? You guys were one of them. And we have a map on our website to show some other ones that we have. We have another one starting in Oklahoma here, I think next month. And so they're coming. But I just want to encourage people. So what would you say to a church that's on the fence, that's thinking about getting involved in fatherless ministry or working with single moms? What would you guys say to them?
Well, first thing I would say is you don't realize how much it is needed. Like, when you first came, that was a few years ago. I wasn't the pastor then, but it was like, I don't see a huge need there. I just really didn't see it. Then, fast forward several years later, it's like, yeah, there's definitely a need there. And, God is definitely using you in an awesome way, to reach something that many people, they just don't see the need, but it's there. And, if God opens their eyes, they'll be able to see that there's hurting people out there that need help, need some guidance, and just need love. I mean, really, and I would say, just try it. What's it going to hurt? That's the thing that I was told a long time ago, that things will fail. Some things will fail, but as long as you try it and you're doing it in God's will, you're praying and asking for wisdom, then, God can make something special of it. But He's looking for somebody that will be willing, just try it. And it's a unique thing, but it's definitely a need. And that's what I would say.
Yeah. What would you say, Becca, to somebody that's thinking about running the group? What would you say about that? So we have the pastor talking to the pastors, but what about somebody that, hey, maybe I could do this? What would you think about that? What would you say about that?
I mean, I would definitely, if they have a desire, then they just need to do it, because a lot of people, especially women, sometimes, I'm not the best speaker. I'm not, we can talk ourselves out of it. And the devil really likes to throw in lies that you're not going to be able to speak to these ladies, you're not going to be able to encourage them, or it's not going to grow, or any of those lies that the devil will throw your way. But if they have a passion and desire, they just need to do it, because God takes care of the rest. And it's really it's a heart thing. And if you love them and you're there, that's enough. And if you're pointing them to God's truth, that's more than enough, and God will take care of the rest. So.
Yeah. Now your church, I mean, people need to know your church is not just in the middle of Indianapolis. I mean, it's out in the country a little bit. I mean, you have a lot of development and things going on around where your church is, but just so people understand that your church, tell them where it's at. I mean, it's out in farmland and stuff, right?
Yes, it is.
Middle of cornfields.
Yeah. So, because I don't want people to think that, well, it's just in urban environments, or this is everywhere. I had a church tell me one time, I was in Maryland, and I spoke at a church. It was when I first started our ministry. And this pastor said, after I was done, it was interesting. Well, we've had some interesting times at church, and I'm not going to go into details, but he said to me, and I don't want to make fun of him, but he said, we don't have families like that around here. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's millions of fatherless kids. Just because they have money doesn't mean that they don't need help. And so, so regardless of where you're at, whether they're in a country setting, I mean, I've served as a volunteer youth director in Pennsylvania, in rural Pennsylvania area, and there was fatherless kids there, not a ton of them, but there was fatherless kids in that environment. I mean, they're all over the place. And so, but your church is a perfect example, how you're kind of out in the middle of cornfields. I mean, you're real close to Indianapolis, real close to some places, but you're out in the middle of, kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but you're kind of out in the country. But Your church is serving 11 single moms. Mm-hmm. And that, I love that story, because you're not right in Indianapolis. They're there. And so I want people to understand, when they're listening to this, that this church is doing it. James and Becca, they're willing to be involved in this. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do as a church, but if you have a heart for it, if you have a heart to reach these families, if you have a burden, if God's calling you to do it and you've been on the fence, jump in. Jump over the fence, be involved in helping these families. And starting a single mom support group is a great area to start. Now, we do have our God is My Dad network, where if you're on the fence, you just want to jump in, we can add you to our network, where basically you're just added to the map, and it says, hey, there's a church that cares about these families. When those families arrive, we have resources you can use to help them and to disciple them. But it's not a single mom support group. The next level is a single mom support group, because we've had several churches say, hey, I want to do something, but I don't have somebody to run a single mom support group. And so we're like, hey, let's start here. God is My Dad network. So get involved in that. But I just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for your willingness to be involved in this ministry. I mean, you guys are our guinea pigs, like I said, and you've done an amazing job. You guys are great guinea pigs. I mean, you've done an amazing job with it. So thank you for doing that. Now, as we close, would you just tell people that are following this how to find you guys? Because we want them to see you on social media, on your website, if they're wanting to look more into your group. Can you tell them how to find you, how to contact you?
Yeah, on Facebook, it's just Mounts Runn, MTSRUNN, Baptist Church, and we're up in Zionsville. And same thing on Instagram, it's Mounts Runn, MTSRUNN. I'm James Bruhn. You don't need to follow me though. I'm nobody special. Becca has Facebook. But yeah, that's the way to follow us. I mean, we post a lot on there, just trying to reach out and, get into our community.
Yeah. You guys are inspiring. So thank you so much for being on with us today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to say thank you for, using something that was a hurt, something that could have been crushing to you in your life, and God makes no mistakes, but you took that and you made something special of it, and you're reaching ladies. I mean, you don't even know these ladies up here, but because of you and your story, you're reaching people. And I thank God for that, and that we don't take that for granted. So just wanted to say that. There's your plug before we go.
Thank you for that. You're trying to make me cry. I really appreciate that. And James, we have a long history, and I'm so thankful for you guys. You guys are solid. And I honestly, there's not a lot of us in our group from when we graduated, but I'm so thankful for. Seriously, when I see you guys on Facebook and stuff, I'm like, man, they're there. The Bruhns, man. I love you guys and thankful for having you on and thankful for your ministry. So have a great day, guys.
You too, bye.
Thanks.
To learn more about how you can get involved in fatherless family ministry, visit lifeactors.org, where you can find some free resources. You can find our books that we have. You can find even the program that we have to help you start a single mom ministry within your ministry or within your church. We can all work together to lead fatherless families to the Heavenly Father.